What are you going to be for Halloween this year?
Alright, I'm thinking Bill Goldberg.
You look more like Bill Gates.
What? I'm going to say Bill Murray.
You know what's great? Did you ever see Bill Murray in Zombieland?
Yeah.
It's
When
fucking
he gets
awesome.
shot, I almost pissed myself.
Same here.
It was a semi-serious movie, and then he goes,
No, it wasn't semi-serious. It was a comedy.
but then he's like dying. He goes, "You okay?" I don't think I'm gonna make it.
That was a very funny scene. Anyway,
Bill Murray's great.
what are you going to be for Halloween, though?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
All right, a lot of options. You know me, I'm not gonna decide till October.
Well, we're doing our TTS Halloween party, buddy. You
Yeah.
can't come dressed as Bill Goldberg in Spanish.
Well, that's why that might have to change.
You might have to a little bit. What's up, guys? My name is Chris Tutella, alongside my good friend, colleague, creepy co-host,
Ruben Borges.
Welcome to episode number
41.
41.
Is it?
No, I think we're like 50.
No.
This might be episode 50.
No, 47 then.
Oh, we really fucked this up, but I'm not sure where we're at.
Well, I'm not even sure what we're going to talk about today. So this is gonna be,
I know what we're talking about.
This is going to be, let's see what we got here.
No, trust me, you guys are going to love this topic today for sure. This is, even though we don't know what episode number this is,
Yes.
this is the episode to watch. So first things first. I just got back from my trip to the West Coast and to Maui. I was gone for 13 days, which is
good
why
to
we
see
were
you
a little,
back.
good to see
We
you.
missed
man.
it, we missed it.
Yeah, I didn't miss you really at all. But
I feel like I was seeing you anyway.
But no, I'm just kidding. I did miss you, man. Thanks for holding down the fort over
Of course,
here.
man.
How did everything go while I was away?
Great. Everyone's wondering, what's Chris doing?
Okay.
Where is he?
All right.
And, you know, they thought you were climbing mountains and, what do you call that? I can't.
Just flying?
You jump out of the airplane.
Skydiving.
Okay.
Okay.
Doing things like that. I'm like, I don't think he's doing all of that. I mean, but, you know, definitely having some fun. And that was cool, man.
I didn't do skydiving, but I did do ATVs, jet skis. We went dolphin watching. We rented a Jeep when we did the road to Hana. So if you ever go to Maui, those are some things to do for sure. And the road to Hana was really dope. A bunch of hikes, waterfalls, that type of shit. Don't do the whole day though. Whole day was way too long. I almost missed my dinner reservations, which is like my most.
You did all that in one day?
The road to Hana, we did it all in one day, which is super long. So I wouldn't suggest doing the whole thing. I would say cut it in half.
The dolphin thing that you did seemed pretty cool.
That was cool. That was cool. That was a quick one, but yeah, definitely a lot of fun stuff. But anyway, I'm back and we're ready to go, baby. What we want to talk about today, the one thing that most dudes want to talk about is how
Pump up the guns?
to pump up the guns,
There you go.
how to make your arms bigger, and the answer here is probably going to be different than what you may think, right? So first things first. If you're trying to make your arms bigger, you have to stop thinking of just making your arms bigger. Focus more on getting bigger everywhere,
Overall,
right? From head to toe. So that's going to include a lot of compound movement. So, Coach, you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so like think about your horizontal press, your horizontal pull, all those movements coming together. And we always preach about pulling more than you push as well.
Yeah.
And with that pulling comes a lot of arm work, a little bicep, secondary work. With the pushing goes a little tricep work. And doing those and hitting arms on a frequency, a higher frequency, you're going to get a lot better results than you normally would. And then the other option, the other thing to add to that would be actually learning mind-muscle connection, working tension, isolation, and learning how to properly use the muscle and get everything out of it rather than, let's say for a quick example, going too heavy in a bicep curl and, you know, using your shoulders, hips, and everything involved rather than the actual primary muscle group, the targeted muscle group.
Yeah. So what he was saying too is like what you were saying. When you are doing a horizontal press or a horizontal pull, or even a vertical press and vertical pull, the arms, the biceps and triceps, they're not going to be your prime movers, but they're going to be getting hit as well as a secondary mover or secondary muscle group too. So just by doing that alone, training, focusing on getting stronger, that's going to be huge. Right now, That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do direct arm training, because I know like a lot of the functional gurus out there will say not to pump up your guns. Well, the problem with that is then you always leave. You never have a pump. You can never fill your t-shirt out the way you want to fill it out. So, first and foremost, you're going to get bigger arms by getting stronger in those fundamental human movement patterns, which we always talk about, but then working in some isolation stuff. Now, like you were saying, understanding that if you go too heavy and your form goes to shit, you're going to be putting stress more than likely on your shoulder, you're going to beat up your elbows, and you're going to be generating a lot of force from throwing your hips forward, and you're taking the tension off of the biceps or the triceps where you want. We especially see that with curls, right?
Yeah, see that it curls in. People start getting like beat up joints, and you want to eliminate that, right? You want to train longer, you want to train your arms with higher quality reps. We see it all the time here with our members when, maybe I catch them kind of, all right, well, let's drop down here. Here's what you do with your shoulder. Here's what you do with your neutral spine. Stay there, minimal movement. And when they're doing that, they're always like, oh, holy shit, like this is crazy. This is, all right, yeah, way hard. I'm dropping weight. And then you see them target that muscle group and really get, maximize the training effect that way and what we're looking to do and the results we're looking to get.
Yeah, so and when you're hitting a curl too, if you understand that if your arm, if you're doing curls and your shoulders are shooting forward this way, that's putting a lot of stress on the shoulder. So what you could do rather than this, if you back the weight down a little bit, you'll be able to kind of lock your shoulders back here into place. I don't know if you could see me from this angle, but you want to pull those shoulders back here, right? Now from this position, if my arms are way back here, right, in the bottom range, I'm losing tension on the biceps. However, if I kind of bring this arm up here, shoulders are back, my arm's here, now even when I'm in that bottom range of motion here, there's still going to be more tension on my biceps. Whereas if I'm all the way down here, there's nothing. If I'm here, these biceps are still tense. So that's going to help me target the biceps a little bit more.
And from doing that, Coach, even when you're headed back here, you'll tend to want to use that as a momentum and as a swing, and then your hip follows with that. Being isolated and being stiff like that is what's going to really maximize yourself.
Right. Now the next thing too is really focusing on the contraction too. So if you hit a bicep curl, right, when you're in that top range of motion here, you got to really squeeze those biceps like you want to make them pop. Now one other tip that I like to do here to really isolate the biceps is to take your wrist when you're grabbing onto a barbell or a dumbbell or whatever you're curling, and just slightly drive your wrist back in this position. So you slightly want to extend your wrist. Not all the way back, just very subtly. So what that's doing now is that's going to take a lot of the forearm out of the equation, and it's going to target the biceps that much more.
That is a great tip. One that I use that helps me too, if you guys are having trouble kind of what you were saying before, squeeze the life out of that bicep, sometimes a top position or that peak position to take my pinky and kind of curl it towards the middle of my bicep. You really get at that tightness and really get a real full effect on there, especially if you have trouble you're not sure if you're really squeezing the life out of your bicep. That's a great way, and that's just very simple as coming in, think of your pinky towards your bicep, getting a good squeeze, and holding that, really squeezing the life out of those biceps there.
For sure, yeah, that's a great tip. And so also, the next thing you could do is target the biceps from different angles too. So you see a lot of people just doing regular curls all the time, right? But shifting that to, let's just say, a hammer curl, right? Or if you do a reverse curl, you're now targeting different heads of the biceps, you're hitting the biceps from different angles, and that's what's going to help keep your elbows healthy for the long haul too. Because if I just stay in this supinated position, like understand, most guys are pretty tight. So now if I'm in a supinated position doing rows or whatever all the time, that's very stressful on my elbows, my biceps, and that'll beat the shit out of your elbows if you do that too often. So you got to be mindful of that. Change the angles in which you target different all muscle groups really, but especially the biceps.
Yeah, even maybe even adding rotation movements to it, whether it be neutral to a pronated movement, let it move naturally, or what I like to do is Zotman curls is always fun. We're going supinated up top and then rotating to a pronated in the bottom position. There are just many different variations, and definitely do them all. In that sense.
Yep. Now, when you're hitting the triceps, here's the thing: dips are a fantastic exercise, but if your shoulder health is not up to par, it might not be the best exercise for you. But if your shoulders are healthy enough to do dips, do them. They're great for packing on muscle. You're really the chest, the triceps, the shoulders. Those are great if you can do them, that is. Now, the one thing with targeting the triceps is that most people involve too much movement in the shoulder. So you really want to have a fixed position. So let's just use, let's just say like a lying dumbbell tricep extension as an example. If you are getting too much movement from your shoulders, okay, if you're just doing it, let's just say a normal, not a rolling tricep extension, but just a regular tricep extension, and your shoulders are kind of moving too much, or if you're not in the right alignment, so say you're here, right, my arm's coming straight out, and I do a tricep extension here, I'm not going to target the triceps as well as I could if I slid that arm back a little bit to create more range of motion from the triceps, and I'm taking it away from the shoulders. You don't want those shoulders moving too much during your set.
And that goes along with also a tricep push down, which is a very popular exercise to see for triceps, especially at your gyms, and guys going too heavy with that sense. Instead of just kind of packing the shoulder blades back and just flexing tricep at the bottom, we'll go a little heavier and we'll start using our shoulders with that. I know I used to do that when I was younger, kind of just look at the number, be like, yeah, check that out, and then kind of just driving down, just taking your whole tricep out of the picture rather than stabilizing your shoulder, keeping palms down, kind of moving just from the forearm down and really flexing tricep at the bottom and really feel that muscle work and get the most bang out. What was I trying to say there?
You're trying to bang somebody.
Get the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay.
No bang.
There you go. This guy's got a dirty mind. But also too, when targeting the triceps, don't think that you can't change the angle either. Yeah. How often do you ever see somebody doing like a supinated push down? You know, mostly you see people use the rope to do rope push downs, but you could use a rope, you could use a pronated grip, you could use a supinated grip. So change that up too. Hit your triceps from different angles. It's the same for the biceps. So now let's talk frequency. Because, yes, go ahead.
Well, I was going to touch on that with the supinated push down. And Coach makes an excellent point. Don't stick with the same movements for bicep and triceps. That is how you're going to get such a better result. Coming from, I know how it was growing up. I don't know if it was with you too, Chris, but I just wanted to stick with the same ones so they felt the best. And then as soon as someone,
or you thought that's what you had to do.
So you're like, I have to do this. There's no way. I love these arms. I want to keep that up. No, change it up. And I think I was introduced by the supinated push down to you. And I actually do remember, like, man, I feel the same like effect. I never want to do it, but I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue with it. And that's how you make a change. That's how you kind of activate the muscle a little different. And
also prevent overuse issues and injuries, right?
Yes, and that involves with like someone, instead of maybe using weights one day, because depending on how the program is to give your joints a break, you're going to use bands for tricep extensions rather than actual weights. It's a great way to get high volume on the muscle while minimizing the joint stress.
Yeah, for sure. So as far as frequency goes, like if people ask me how often do I train arms or whatever, like usually I'll just throw in 2 or 3 sets at the end of an upper body day, but I don't designate an entire day to arms. Now, if you're a physique competitor, if you're a bodybuilder, then that might be best for you to dedicate an entire day to training your arms. But what I'll do is I'll typically hit biceps and triceps 2 days a week, and if I really want to, because I only train twice a week right now, so you could do it in a few different ways, but what I'll typically do is I'll do direct bicep work one day, I'll do direct tricep work on the other day of training, but that doesn't mean that I'm not doing indirect bicep and tricep work, because if my prime mover is some type of a press, I'm hitting my triceps that day and I'm hitting them heavier. And then when I do more of the direct isolation stuff, usually I'm getting a little bit more of a higher volume set of 8 to 12 or maybe even 15 if I'm feeling squirrely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you could, it depends on how many days a week you're training and whatnot, but you don't really need to do more than twice a week. And then what I do really enjoy is just doing like a vanity pump day on like a Saturday if I have some extra time, where I'll throw in just like some side raises to hit the shoulders, and I'll just hit it a couple sets of bis and tris, different curl variations, tricep extension variations and whatnot, and I'll do that. Would maybe take me 15 minutes where I'm just breaking a sweat and getting a little bit of a pump.
We've been known to do that on if a leg day kind of landed on a Friday or Saturday, and we were heading to the beach. We were like, I might have to switch up this ending real quick.
Yeah, we might have to do 1,001 push-ups and
but
before we
yeah,
get to the beach.
to go back where you're saying, it depends on your goal too, and kind of what your program is at the time too, and how you want to add in those the arm days. And everything,
Yeah, for sure. But guys, I think if you just take those tips and you start applying them right away, you're going to start to see some growth in your arms. Remember, it's about the bigger picture. It's not just about making your arms jacked and bigger. Like that's a great side effect, but you want to also think overall health and staying in the game for the long haul. So keeping your shoulders healthy, make sure you do everything we've already talked about in the past. Balance out your training. You should be training everything. There should be an imbalance in the sense of more pulling than pushing, but you want to make sure that you're targeting every muscle group from head to toe, so you make sure that you're getting the most out of your training. Now, when you do that, you want to target a specific area, like your biceps, like your triceps, to pump up them guns, son. Then you can throw a couple sets in at the end of an upper body day, a lower body day, or even on an off day like I just mentioned. But change the angle. Make sure you control it. Make sure you get your position correct. Make sure you focus on tension, control, bracing, so your reps don't get sloppy. And if you do that, yes, you're going to have to lower the weight.
Yeah.
But just like any other exercise, now you're going to be targeting the muscle groups appropriately, and that's going to create more of a training effect and a greater training stimulus for you.
Yeah, especially at the end of a training session, keep the form pristine. You'll get better results.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right, guys, I hope this episode helps. If you have any questions, pumping up the guns, shoot me a direct message on Instagram. I am at Chris_Tutela, Tutela. Coach, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram as well, at _Ruben, RUBEN, _Borges, BORGES.
It's not at Puerto Rican Thunder anymore?
Not anymore. I changed it up.
All right.
With the flag symbol at the end.
I like it. I like it. We might have to go back the old way. It brings out character, Coach. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep.
We will catch you next week on another episode of
TTS Talk.
He's approaching the camera again.
What you gonna do, brother, with the largest arms in the world?
Yeah, that's what he's going for.
Your turn, go.
Thanks. No, good pass.